What if I told you Avengers Endgame didn't actually end the Avengers story? What if the greatest time heist in MCU history didn't simply save the universe, but created the path toward the biggest multiversal crisis the Avengers have ever faced? Because one moment in Endgame changed everything. A moment involving Loki, the Tesseract, and a timeline that was never supposed to exist. And now, years later, Marvel's bringing us Avengers Doomsday. So today we're going back to the beginning, back to Endgame, back to 2012. And we're going to follow the chain of events that takes us from the Avengers Time Heist to Loki, to the TVA, to the multiverse, and finally to Doomsday. Let's go back to 2012, the Battle of New York. The Avengers had defeated Loki and the Chitauri. The Tesseract was in their possession. And in the original timeline, Loki was captured and taken back to Asgard. But Avengers Endgame changed that. When the Avengers traveled through time to collect the Infinity Stones, Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, Scott Lang, and Bruce Banner went back to the Battle of New York. Their mission was simple: take the Tesseract, take the Mind Stone, and return to the future. But things went horribly wrong. Bruce Banner accidentally collided with the 2012 version of Loki. The Tesseract fell to the ground, and Loki saw his opportunity. He picked it up and disappeared. Just like that, the Avengers had changed history. But here's the important part. This Loki wasn't the same Loki who eventually died fighting Thanos. This Loki escaped before experiencing the events that would change him. He didn't go through Thor, the Dark World. He didn't experience Ragnarok. He didn't stand beside Thor against Hela. He didn't watch Asgard fall. He didn't travel to Earth to warn the Avengers about Thanos. And he never reached the moment where he sacrificed himself against Thanos. This Loki escaped in 2012, and that created a branch, a completely different path, a different Loki, a different future. And eventually, the TVA found him, the Time Variance Authority, an organization that monitored timelines and attempted to maintain what it considered the sacred timeline. Loki was taken outside normal time, and that's where he discovered something that changed the entire way we understand the MCU. Time wasn't just one straight line. There could be branches. There could be variances. There could be different versions of people, different realities, different futures, and different universes. Loki's story eventually became one of the most important pieces of the MCU's multiverse, because the multiverse wasn't just some random concept Marvel introduced after Endgame. It became a major part of the story. And this brings us back to the Avengers, because while Loki was discovering the true nature of time, the MCU was changing. The Avengers we knew were gone. Tony Stark was dead. Natasha Romanoff was gone. Steve Rogers had retired. Thor had left Earth. The original team had effectively ended, but the threat facing the MCU was only getting bigger. And now, Marvel is bringing together heroes from completely different corners of its universe. The Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Wakanda, Thor, Steve Rogers, and many more. Marvel's official material describes Avengers Doomsday as bringing heroes from different universes toward a deadly collision and an existential threat unlike anything they've faced before. And at the center of that threat is Dr. Doom. Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU, but not as Tony Stark. He's playing Victor Von Doom. Dr. Doom, and that single casting decision created one of the biggest questions in Marvel history. How can the man who played Iron Man return as one of Marvel's greatest villains? Is this the same universe? A different universe? A variant? Or is there something much bigger happening? Right now, Marvel has not publicly explained every detail of Doom's connection to Tony Stark. So we have to separate fact from theory. The confirmed fact is simple. Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Doom. Everything beyond that is speculation until Marvel confirms it. But there is another important piece. Steve Rogers is also returning. Chris Evans is returning as Steve Rogers in Avengers Doomsday. And that creates another huge mystery, because at the end of Endgame, Steve Rogers traveled through time to return the Infinity Stones. Then he chose to remain in the past and live his life with Peggy Carter. One branch can create a new reality, And one reality can change everything. Avengers. Endgame wasn't the end. It was the beginning. And now, well, the countdown to Doomsday has begun.